Schönen guten Morgen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, liebe Freundinnen und
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dear friends, I'm Torsten Casimir. I can't see anything. But still, let me welcome you very warmly to the 77th edition of the Frankfurt Book Fair. Well, actually not to the opening, but to the opening of the press conference of the same. I'm the spokesman of the book fair, and it is a great pleasure not to see you in such large numbers. What is the plan for now? Yesterday we announced that our literary Peace Prize laureate, Casimir, unfortunately had to cancel his participation. We, of course, regret it very much. I'm sure you all share this regret. And it's a fact of life, and we wish him all the best, and our best greetings go out to him wherever he may be, and would like to congratulate him very much on winning the prize. So what is in store for you today? We've got a high-ranking panel of speakers for you, starting off with Karin Schmidt-Friderichs, who is the chair of the Association of the German Book Trade, followed by Jurgen Boos, director of the Frankfurt Book Fair. And afterwards, there is a special for you this year. It's a dialogue between Vanina Collar-Giovanni and Mehar Anaokar. I have to rehearse this quite a lot. And both of them are from Argentina and UK. They are participants of a program which, for the first time this year, has been run in the context of the Messe Frankfurt. It is the Frankfurt Global Network. And my colleague Ines Bachor is going to moderate this conversation. And after that, it's not time for questions, but before your questions, we'll have a literary input, as you know, and we have invited the young Berlin-based author Nora Hadada. It's nice to see all of you here and to go through this program with us. And after these presentations or inputs, of course, there's time for questions and answers. And after the end of the press conferences, there is a chance for you to have one-on-one interviews. And as you know, at 12:30, there will be a tour for the press around the Guest of Honor Pavilion. And you will get some more information about that later. Now I'd like to pass the floor to Karin Schmidt-Friderichs.
Thank you, Torsten Casimir. You were standing in the wrong place. Here I can almost see that the room is full of curious faces. Nora Hadada, Vanina Collar-Giovanni, Mehar Anaokar, Jurgen Boos, representatives of the press. And if I did not address everybody, ladies and gentlemen, you are sitting there, I'm standing here, and we all came to Frankfurt, and we all took all it took in order to be present when the world of books becomes the most important event in the world. Why are we still doing this? Why doesn't my bot write what your bot thinks, what the KI assistants published? Are we all just here because of tradition? I don't think so. And I would like to make a strong case for that we do not only not delegate thinking, but commit ourselves to a charter of dialectical thinking, a celebration of discourse, and a celebration of being together as humans. I'd like to invite you to join me in a few hours' time, not only to open the world's most important and largest book fair, but also to start a conversation about how we want to live, how we want to form our opinions, and what the basis to make the most important decisions of our lives is supposed to be. Well, in the books of the world, which are waiting here on the shelves, waiting for visitors to flock to the grounds from tomorrow, Not only good entertainment and escapism await readers, but story, appeals, manifestos, and discourses. And in the texts, we see the values of authors reflected, worldviews, utopias, and dystopias. Reading them shapes our perception of the world and the desires we direct towards the world in which we want to live, the attitude with which we set out to shape the world. With the admission ticket to the Frankfurt Book Fair, visitors are choosing diversity, discovery and experience, discussion and discourse, and ladies and gentlemen, this gives me courage, because what would be the alternative? 2, freedom of expression, diversity of opinions, freedom to publish, diversity and serendipity. Here at the book fair, starting tomorrow, 4,000 exhibitors from 130 countries will show a wealth of information, and the book fair provides a space for exchange of ideas and business, for dialectics and discourse. This is the place where imagination gives rise to ideas that can change our reality and our future. In the virtual world, however, only a few billionaires increasingly decide which algorithms present which kind of information, and they do not follow any rules of a press law, nor on the basis of acquired or remunerated content, and they do not take responsibility for the content they publish or withhold. Under the guise of progress, a few companies and a few powerful men behind them have secured power for themselves that endangers, undermines, and erodes democracies and the mechanisms underpinning them. And while politicians and large sections of society celebrate this progress, 20% of people in this country cannot read and understand the meaning, i.e. they do not understand the texts, and therefore are more easily guided by emotions and misguided and manipulated. And this is especially true since an even larger segment of society has never learned to distinguish between fake information and real information. Media literacy has been and continues to be not or only insufficiently covered in the curricula of schools and universities. And while we embrace this type of progress, we forget that AI should serve humans and not vice versa. The Börsenverein represents for books as cultural assets, the economy, the freedom of the word and cultural diversity, and has done so for 200 years. These pillars of a democratic society are of utmost importance to us, and this is why we are committed to have them protected in the age of AI as well. Because in addition to the critical global situation with wars and crises, our democratic society is being challenged and particularly threatened by artificial intelligence in the hands of irresponsible digital oligopolies. Like any groundbreaking technology, AI also poses risks alongside all its positive effects, and this is quite clear. Innovation also requires fair play so that it serves people and society and not vice versa. Democratic decisions are required to understand who bears responsibility for what and who is liable. We need comprehensive transparency in training data and algorithms in order to make the output of generative AI comprehensible. We call for licenses, incentives, for fair remuneration for the data fed into the system, and clarification of data protection issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we know in great detail today which additives our stomach takes up with our morning yogurt. But simultaneously, without any consumer protection for the brain, Insta, TikTok or Telegram rain down upon us. Every traditional medium, no matter how small, every student press has to behave responsibly in accordance with the press law, but the big platforms refuse to take responsibility for the content they publish. whereas we in the book industry are working on voluntary AI labeling. The DMA and the DSA are good approaches, but they must not be sacrificed on the altar of tariffs or other extortionate tactics. And if large platforms earn billions from advertising thanks to their traffic, these billions must also be taxed in the countries where people feed these platforms and are seduced by advertising spending. By the way, these taxes could then be used again for reading promotion programs and media literacy, for programs on continuing education, the German Kulturpass, and for social justice, because we cannot afford not to have a social welfare state. Fair play does not only apply to the little ones in society, but big tech must also be measured by it. If generative AI benefits from the output of creative people, these creative individuals must get their fair share of the pie. This is the only way to ensure sustainable coexistence. We will be discussing AI in various formats at the trade fair in the coming days in various formats, panel discussions, dangers of AI-generated deepfakes, another on the AI Act, fair AI policy, and the future of creativity in Europe. Torsten Casimir will probably talk about this off the cuff. The Frankfurt Book Fair can serve as a blueprint for fair coexistence between different opinions and people. Over the next days, the exhibition grounds will become an agora for exchange, a place of encounter and negotiation of positions and rights. This is where person-to-person exchange thrives, where matchmaking systems make establishing contact and initiating business more efficient, and chance may facilitate the encounter between people and books. Here, thoughts are exchanged, opinions are negotiated, and perhaps reconsidered in discourse. People can test their own opinions against the arguments of others to expand one's own realm of the imaginable and the world of ideas of others. This is what the Frankfurt Book Fair has stood for since its relaunch in 1949 at Frankfurt's Paulkirche. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karin, for these thoughtful words. Next up, we have Jurgen Boos, the director of the Frankfurt Book Fair. Jurgen, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure whether there are two microphones going at the same time, whether that's all correct, but you'll be surprised. Normally, I would welcome you with my usual cough, because I always get a cough at book fair time. This year there's no cough, but I still don't feel so good. So please bear with me if I have to sit down, because I'm slightly under the water and I will not be as present during the fair as usual, but my great team, of course, is backing me up. Welcome to the Frankfurt Book Fair 2025, and thank you very much for coming. But as Ms. Schmidt-Friderichs asked, why do we do this in the first place? Why do we get more than 7,000 journalists, more than 4,000 publishers, more than 200,000 visitors coming to Frankfurt? Because the Frankfurt Book Fair shows what literature can do. It connects people, it can tolerate contradictions and opens new perspectives. But we are opening this in a very polarized time, this book fair. Times where clear messages and commitments are required, and where literature in all its doubts and contradictions is under pressure because of wars, censorship, book bans, and cancel culture. Even in Western democracies, there are culture wars which have a direct impact on publishing. Libraries remove whole genres from their shelves. Grants are being filtered politically. The freedom of science and publication comes under threat. And that's why, together with our strong partners, we have created our culture policy program, Frankfurt Calling, not because it's nice, but because it's necessary, because there are places, there must be places where authors are heard who are otherwise silenced or banned. This is the focal point of voices who rarely share a stage. The Palestinian bookseller Mahmoud Muna talks about his region. We talk with the Nobel Peace Laureate Maria Ressa, the Ukrainian bookseller Oleksiy Rerinchak, and the former NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. Frankfurt Calling is our international residence chamber with partners such as UN, Amnesty International, but also the IPA, the International Publishers Association. But debates alone do not make a big book fair. To make these voices resonate, the book fair is also required as a trading platform for the exchange of rights and licenses for translation work and editing with inspiring business ideas and new formats. And this is also the identity of the Frankfurt Book Fair and has been for 77 years. We have the Literary Agents and Scout Center. We're bringing together publishers and agencies from more than 100 countries coming to Frankfurt to find material which is being read and seen tomorrow. I'm saying seen because successful stories rarely stay in the book. They also migrate into TV series, films, radio plays, and games. That's why we created formats such as book to screen, book to streaming, book to games. And we create platforms which make text into global contents, be it on paper or on screen or digitally. In the focus, we also have artificial intelligence. What is the role of AI in translation? How does it change editing and rights management? This is exactly the debates which make Frankfurt a place where the industry creates standards. And when we talk about the future of the industry, it also is good to look at to new markets and literary voices. Our guest of honor, Philippines, stands exactly for that, and it stands for the freedom of literature. Through the central figure of the Filipino history, José Rizal. As a young eye doctor and novelist, he lived in Germany in the 1880s, and he translated Schiller's Wilhelm Tell in Tagalog in Heidelberg and Leipzig. It's a freedom story, which then was read as a story of resistance, literature crossing borders, words which became into voices against colonialism in Europe too. And Rizal's novel Noli Me Tangere also is the basis for the motto of the Filipino Gast of Honor appearance, imagination peoples the air. It refers to the power to connect reality and imagination. That's what's the shape of the Guest of Honor Pavilion. It is built of sustainable materials such as bamboo and ananas. More than 100 authors and artists have traveled here from the archipelago of 7,841 islands, including the social critical author Patricia Evangelista, the new adult writer Emina Gesgera, and the Nobel Peace Laureate Maria Ressa. The program goes from climate fiction to diaspora literature and flip-top rap battles, and it will be relevant not just in Frankfurt but also in Berlin and Heidelberg. This builds a bridge which was because the Frankfurt Fair is also a festival for literature. This also includes the Literature Gala with Karl Schlögl, Ursula Poznanski, Christian Berkel. Families discover stories at the Frankfurt Kids Festival with Axel Scheffler and Matthias Maurer, and with the TikTok Book Awards, such as the new adult and romantasy books, we are celebrating the love of reading, which is present in young generations with international stars. Because creating links and creating bridges, that is our DNA. We'll see this when you look at the panel of the new Frankfurt Global Network. This is where young publishers from all over the world are connecting and making networks and networking. They create the future of the market. We also have various interesting speakers there. And at the end, I would like to pass the floor to Nora Hadada at the end of this conference and previously. Nora representing a new generation of writers, and thank you very much for your attention.
Dankeschön, Jürgen.
Thank you, Jurgen, for this enormous panorama on what will happen here in the days to come. Thank you for your presentation. In recent months, we wondered and we also asked our partners and customers, who are we? Our own responses and those who look at us from further away all say, you in Frankfurt, you connect people with each other. And now, as we know, we keep repeating it because it's the truth. And now we decided we don't only want to talk about it, we want to show it. I already announced it. We have a great invitation program, Frankfurt Global Network. I think it's 14 young publishing professionals are starting a network all over the world. And with Vanina and Mecher, Ines will have a talk now. The floor is yours.
Vielen Dank, Torsten.
Thank you, Torsten Casimir. A great introduction, perfect. And I'm very glad that we have guests from international publishing here, from London and from Buenos Aires. This is why I will now speak English. If you need translation, please use the headsets waiting for you.
Meher Anwaka and Vanina Kula-Giovanni, thanks so much for being with us here today. As was already said, you're both participants of the Book Fair's new Frankfurt Global Network program, which brings publishing professionals from all over the world together. So please, Meher, could you just tell us a bit more about yourself and your publishing house? You're based in London, that you work for, and we're also interested, why did you want to participate in this program, actually?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Meher Anauka, and I work at Profile Books. It's an award-winning independent publisher based in London. We mainly publish serious nonfiction from politics to history, science. We have an amazing self-help and development imprint called Souvenir Press, where we also publish the sensational Myrtle. I don't know if it's caught on in Germany yet, but it soon will. We have a thriving crime list, but I work on the literary fiction imprint, which is Serpent's Tail. It was founded in 1986 by Pete Ayrton and taken on by Profile Books in 2007. And we publish some of the most groundbreaking voices in contemporary literary fiction. I'm very lucky to have worked with them. And we're also very proud to work with Tusker Rock closely and to celebrate with them.
Thanks so much. What about you, Vanina? Tell us a bit more about yourself and your Argentinian publishing house.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm far away from home. I'm from Buenos Aires. My name is Vanina Colas-Giovanni. And my publishing house is an independent one. We have 20 years of history. It's called Gog y Magog. And we have like 160 titles published. We mainly publish fiction and poetry and also non-fiction related to literature. And we all like to think that our books are like bridges in the sense of recommending good literature, but also because it brings different artists together. Like many of our readers are musicians or visual artists or, I don't know, theater professionals, and also writers. We love to make artists closer to the world of books. And also I feel like a huge responsibility here because I think I'm not only representing Gog y Magog, but also a strong, thriving group of publishers from Latin America that are struggling and publishing without any public funding. So, well, I'm so glad to be here.
Thanks so much. Well, we just heard it's actually a group of 13, 14 people that is taking part in the program. So what was your motivation to actually apply for it and be part of the program?
Well, to be here is to be at the center of everything, to be at the good place. And also, first I went to Guadalajara Book Fair like for several years, and also to Chile. And that was like, I had meetings there, and well, I had also networking. But here I see people from all around the world. We are learning a lot from our fellow publishers, and we are 14, and we came really close really quickly. So we're learning a lot, and also I think it will be helpful, and it will open so many doors to be in Frankfurt, because I think other fellowships look up to this fellowship, so I'm so glad to be here.
How was it for you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's one of the most prestigious literary fellowships in the world, and I'd been recommended it by colleagues within my company and also outside of it, and it's really been an amazing experience. I mean, as Vanina said, there's 14 of us, and it's been very interesting to learn from different markets and how books work in their territories versus mine.
That's good to hear. Well, yeah, not only market presentations and networking events, but also visits to publishing houses and bookstores, not only in Germany, but also in Switzerland were part of the program, right? And the participants already connected in late summer, is what I learned. And however, you've been together with everyone else on the road, so to speak, since October 5th in Germany and Switzerland. So, Meher, please tell us, what have been your personal highlights of the program so far? Is there something you can pinpoint?
Yes, but I want to start by saying that the entire program has been incredibly memorable, and I think we're all really grateful to the German, the Swiss publishers, to the Buchmesse and SBVV for organizing everything. They really did an amazing job. But my highlight would be on Thursday, because we had just been to the S. Fisher offices, who, as you may know, publish Laszlo Krasznahorkai. And we were sort of speculating about the announcement and had our fingers crossed together. And for lunch, we were waiting for our order. All of us huddled around like one phone listening to the announcement, and that's an unforgettable memory.
So good to hear.
That was funny.
That was good.
What about you? Were there any highlights? And
Yeah, a lot.
also maybe surprises or something where you thought, oh, this was completely different than I expected it?
Well, we went to Campa Verlag on Zurich, and he's the publisher of Borges, an Argentinian great writer. So I was so happy to meet him and to see Borges books in German. And he also was really, well, he loved Switzerland, Borges. So it was like such a good trip to that. And I think that most of the publishers we went to were so professional and so different. You could learn from the different brands, the different readers they go to. So it was really a learning experience for me. And also between each other, we made meetings, and not only as a rehearse for the fair, but also to write and to buy and sell rights, and they were so interesting. So we already have books that we are going to read and read samples, and eventually, well, maybe they get published in another language. So that's great.
It's great to hear. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that because, you said that you were planning to have like a mini literary and agents center. Can you tell us more about that? Like, what did you do actually, and have you sold or acquired any titles yet?
Not yet. Nothing moves that fast anymore, I feel. But we had meetings with each other, as Vanina said, just before the fair, because we hadn't scheduled meetings for the fair itself with the fellows. We were spending so much time together already. So on Friday we had a few hours between external meetings, and we just sat around tables. We talked about our lists, about our interests. I'm not necessarily here to pitch because I work in editorial, not rights, but I can't help it, so I pitched some books. And yeah, looking forward to taking those relationships forward.
And I'm also a bit curious because you got all these insights into German and Swiss publishing houses, booksellers. Is there anything particular you say like, oh, I'll take that back home with me and see how to implement it maybe in your markets or for your houses?
That's what quite challenging because our markets are so different. But well, I was glad to hear that in Argentina we have the fixed book price law. So in Germany you have it also. In the UK doesn't have it. So it was really interesting to learn about all the differences in law and also bookstores, how they work, and distribution and logistics. So we learned a lot about that, and I think maybe one thing I will love to have in Argentina that we still don't have is the distribution system you have. It's like a model for us, but well, we'll get there sometime, I think, someday. But well, I think that's it for me. Yeah, I don't know for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was super insightful to see not just how the market works as a whole, but how different publishers operate within that market. Because the publishers we visited varied in size, in location, and I think we have a unique relationship with Europe as a whole because of the way we export. But I thought German bookshops were thriving, and I was really happy to see that. I was happy to see the different kinds of covers on there. Yeah, it was great.
Thanks so much. And yeah, we talked about connections, about meeting people, and we already met yesterday over lunch before this talk. And yeah, I think in the first minutes you said like, oh, we're already friends here. And I know that also a lot of the program's participants are here today. Good to see you all. So, Meher, what do you think? How important are actual personal relationships in the book business?
Incredibly important. Like, I can't state enough how important they are, because ultimately I feel publishing is about relationships, as Jurgen said as well, and the reading experience itself is a relationship, right? You're opening up to a point of view that's not your own, and so it's crucial to be able to have these networks across the world, and see what people are publishing, what people are reading, if they're reading enough. And yeah, it's really wonderful to be at one of the biggest book fairs with the fellowship.
Yeah, and I think we share so much data between each other because we don't share languages, and so we recommended a lot of readings to one another, and I think that was really helpful. I wrote down like a bunch of books to read afterwards, so yeah, I think it will help both of all the publishing houses. Yeah.
Well, my last question would be, because for you it's in the middle of the program, for all of us the book fair is actually just starting, and the Frankfurt Global Network will also have its own collective stand, actually just one story up in Hall 4.1. And I heard that you literally brought suitcases full of books with you to exhibit them here. And yeah, so Vanina, what do you expect from the upcoming days? I know it's your first book fair. What are your expectations? What do you hope?
Well, they say it's crazy. I don't know if that's true. I'm going to find out that there's a lot of people, a lot of publishers and agents, and well, I have several meetings. I don't know how I'm going to be on Friday, but I think it will be really useful for me because it's my first time here, and I want to go to another fellowships maybe, because I really enjoyed this so much, and I think it really helped my professional career also. So I'm looking forward to have a lot of meetings and expand my network, and also meet a lot of public funding, not public, but funds for translations. You know, you have a lot of countries that support translations, and I think that's interesting too. So I will go see all of the fair. I hope I have time, because it says they say it's too big, but I don't know. You guide
What
me.
about you? What are your plans for the upcoming days? You've been to the fair before, but not in this role. So.
No, yes, I've been once, and it is crazy, but I think it's really energizing. It's good to see people. It's good to see so many people all here for the same thing. I've met a few of the people I'm meeting before, but most of them I haven't, so I'm really excited to build those new connections. I'm not going to try to see the whole fair, because I don't think I can, but I'm really excited to meet everyone again. That should be special.
Well, thank you both so much for being with us here today. We wish both of you and also all of the other participants a successful and enjoyable book fair. And yeah, please everyone, make sure to stop by in Hall 4.1 at the Frankfurt Global Network stand in the upcoming days. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks so much, Meher, Ines, for this talk, for sharing your experiences with us, for letting us a little bit participate on what you did in the last days and what you will do in the upcoming days. Thanks. It was quite interesting. Okay, ich gehe zurück.
Right, back to German, and I'd like to announce what I already announced before. Our literary item on the agenda, Nora Hadada from Berlin is joining us. Why did we invite Nora? Because we decided it's exciting for us and hopefully for you as well to hear her, a representative of the young author generation. I think I may say so. You were born in 1998, I think, right? So how does this generation view the opportunities they have as authors, and what do they think of opportunities of literature? How does it help or maybe not help to understand the world? Nora, we look forward to hearing you. Thank you, Torsten, and thank you for having me. The last 2 years, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of many of my generation, in many ways were a turning point. The 2000s, the era when I grew up, was a time of absolute dullness, positively speaking, because of the stability it creates, negatively speaking, with the perceived impossibility to require change. Around 2016, we started to understand shit is going down. A lot of things have happened since then. In Germany, for example, the border of what can be said became more prominent towards the right, and on the left, there were negotiations about what you cannot say, and the liberally bourgeois kept switching sides here and there, but they always thought they were right. Then we had COVID, and Germans denounced their neighbors because 5 people were sitting in the garden instead of 4. Then Russia attacked the Ukraine, armament and consensus of militarism, and then the terrible and cruel terror attack of the Hamas on 7th of October, and I say genocide in Gaza, and public reaction in Germany that can only be called a discourse psychosis. And this was when in Germany we were able to see that a lot of representatives of the media for 2 years tried against international criticism to defend and play down the terror in Gaza, and how right-wing representatives, conservatives and liberal politicians became more authoritarian, and how freedom of art, freedom of assembly and freedom of science were limited. And this was discussed very passionately. And then I thought, shit is really going down. To me, this was the real turning point, not only authoritarian turn as such, but how simple this took place and how easily it took, how fast it took place. And public players were not resisting. I was full of fear. I'm still full of fear. It was a turning point because we saw what is possible against such a fear and what will become possible in such a climate. Of course, there were different voices, obviously, but I want to focus on the silence because there was more of a silence, because I think because of trying to obey orders before they have been given, only a few authors raised their voices on Gaza and also on other topics. And I thought this was really, really horrible and alarming. And now this brings me to the optimistic part of my speech, because I kept thinking, we are authors. We have nothing to lose anyway. And especially not in my generation. Our parent generation are fully aware of climate catastrophe. We are sticking to a dysfunctional financial system that will blow up in our faces sooner or later. We do not get ready for boomers retiring, and we deny migration, and maybe we want to go to war, and we are fucked anyway. And this also is a good thing, because we will understand that you can't kill us. We are already dead. We are free. And I know it's slushy, but be it this way as it may, because there are things that everybody has. We have friendship, we have love, we have beauty, and we have humor. In other words, we have literature. And as a matter of fact, other types of art, like the movies and fine arts, need a lot of money. We writers don't need a lot. Something to eat, some drinks, and housing. We don't need any government funds, and we don't need any money from billionaires. We are cheap, we are broke, and that's great. In authoritarian times, our strength as writers was that we don't need anything and we have nothing to lose. So there is no reason for us to stay at home fearing that the Minister of Culture will not give us any funds that he wouldn't have given us anyway. So you can think about why people are so frightful in Germany, but at the end of the day, analysis does not help to understand that fear is the little brother of cowardice, and only a few things protect you as badly against authoritarianism as cowardice. Don't misunderstand me. I say this full of love, because the other good news is we don't have to be cowards. We can provoke. We have smart writers, smart readers. We have publishing houses which are private institutions and shouldn't have any problem with scandals. And I can not repeat it often enough, shit is going down anyway. So why should we belittle ourselves? We have more to win than to lose. And with literature, we have a weapon that helps us to be well equipped against so many negative social trends, against authoritarianism and censorship, because literary history gives us the means to mask criticism, to say what we want to say without others being able to prove it. In times of acceleration and hectic hysteric thinking, we are the slower type of art, which produces seclusion and is consumed in seclusion, which needs time, gives us space to think, to criticize, to ask questions, a great antidote against the flood of information that hardly gives you time to ask, what am I thinking myself? So I don't want to flatter ourselves, but I think we are the most intellectual type of art. Rhetorics and ideology can be made visible that can do something against infantilization and anti-intellectualism, which is the basis of incapacitation. In times of filter bubbles and demonization, we can set different realities next to each other and can have empathy with everybody. And literature is a place where we can be hard with each other and should be hard with each other, but with love. And in times like these, this is not only an enormous opportunity and a privilege, it's also responsibility. But for all these reasons, I am very glad to be here with all of you today and to celebrate the opportunities and abilities of literature in the hope that we recognize it and are not pessimistic about sales figures or loss of relevance, but are proud of the opportunity to be an incorruptible and fearless voice of integrity. And when shit goes down, we say, not with me. Thank you.
Vielen herzlichen Dank, Nora Hadada.
Thank you very much, Nora. If I didn't have this job, which I have now, I would have had lots of things to note down, but maybe I can get your speech after the event. So the Q&A phase is starting. Anyone who has participated actively. Oh, sorry, I forgot something. First of all, I would like to say goodbye to all those of you who have watched us on the live stream. Thank you very much for having joined us. I didn't welcome you in the first place, so then at least I would like to say proper goodbye to you. All the best to you. you. And in this room, I would like to ask all the active speakers on